Everybody, it's the Mad Master here, doing a video. Pardon my air conditioning, hopefully it's not too loud in this video. But this video is about the pickup artist community, seduction community, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not really a member of that community at this point in time, or various things in regards to that, but I have flirted with it in the past, admittedly. I've flirted with some of the ideas. I've gone into some of those things. Now, there was a recent video and by Thought Slime about how to get a woman to kiss you, smooch you, or advise for heterosexual men or something. I don't remember what it's some new video that he did. And he denigrates the pickup artist subculture and all this stuff. Now, I like his videos, a lot of his videos. Some of the videos definitely make me cringe, admittedly. A lot of them I do like, though. He's done some really good commentary overall. Kind of made me think about certain things, especially lately. But this part, I'm not gonna back down from defending this whole industry ever. Just basically because people don't really understand the whole thing. People misrepresent, strawman, clump things together that should not be clumped together, etc. And now, because almost like the caricature was more established of the whole thing rather than the actual meat of the ideas from back in the day, now we have actually more creeps involved in that scene, or more nefarious individuals, or it's gone to these red pill weird extremes and stuff. So I mean, if you understand what I'm talking about, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too. But basically the essence of a lot of the caricatures of this whole thing is that you're going out and bothering a bunch of women, and then one drunk woman or weak-minded, which is kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of sexist to think that the only way you can get a woman by doing these techniques is if they're weak-minded or dumb or dim-witted or fucking gullible, when it's not true. Now, the thing is that people get wrong about a lot of the scene. And a lot of the scene is pretty cartoonish and stupid and silly and grifty and dumb. Now, the original purveyors of this whole scene, were basically nerds. Ross Jeffries, otherwise known as Paul Jeffrey Ross. He's a nerd. Eben Pagan, also known as David D'Angelo. Neil Strauss, otherwise known as Style, otherwise known as, what was his name on the boards? I can't remember. Neil Todd. He had different pseudonyms. And it's basically this scene of nerdy guys that are learning all these weird mind things, for themselves, like NLP, how to flirt, how to be like the jocks, like that were, they would tease a girl and then sort of half-hearted, like just pretty much jokingly, like just like teasing, like, it's like, like David D'Angelo used to say, or teasing your bratty little sister, like just making fun of them a little bit in this like teasing way, like like women do it to men, like in the sassy kind of way, oh my god, like one of my exes is like, I said I was trying to be cool, and she's like, you're not cool. I'm like, jeez, fucking Christ. Anyways, just kind of that kind of, I mean, that's not really an example of that, but it's like, just just kind of set, cocky, kind of funny, kind of, well, that's what David D'Angelo says, comments and stuff like that. And it's not really, and that's where the whole negs thing like came from. That was a misrepresentation of what Mystery, as he calls himself, Eric von Markovic, his real name. His whole thing was like this archetype of this like club going girl, woman, who's like kind of higher class, higher status, kind of bringing her down to your level by kind of teasing them, sort of in a, oh, nice teeth, are they real? You know, it's like, it's kind of just these dumb kind of jokes that you would do, and that would make you seem more like you don't give a shit, which does increase your attractiveness, because if you don't give a fuck in a certain way, like Lemmy, you know, I mean, you're more attractive. So this got really out of hand. The scene got really financially motivated, you know, and you know, the people like Owen Cook, who's ostensibly, I have mixed feelings about him, because you know, I like a lot of his stuff, and that some of his stuff's really cringy and ridiculous, and a lot of these people are ridiculous. And it's not about, there's a side missing, you know, from a lot of these people. There's a lot of things missing from their teachings and techniques and ideas, and it has a predatory vibe to it, for sure. It has a lot of problems with it. However, let's take this nerdy guy. Let's call him. I'm going to call him Todd, right? And he's like 20 years old. He's never been with a girl. He has like buck teeth, glasses, and like zits. And what his fashion sense is worse than mine at my age. And you know, like, take this guy, and you know, he wants to, he's a virgin, he's never had sex, he's never had a girlfriend, doesn't know how to interact with women, doesn't know that like teasing women, people tease each other a lot, you know, kind of sarcastic ways a lot of the time. That's not always good, by the way. He doesn't know about flirting, he doesn't know about relationships in general. He's just like, he doesn't even know, like, when maybe he has he's a little bit on the spectrum, and maybe in a way he's like he just doesn't know, like, when a girl is giving him interest. So he reads some of these books, starts working out, he's like a scrawny little guy, and he starts flirting with women, and he finally loses his virginity, gets more confidence, and then it affects other parts of his life too. So he's like, oh, he's gonna go for what he wants in college instead of, you know, whatever fucking thing his parents said he's got a med degree, but now he's gonna go for classic literature. So he studies that, he becomes a professor. But between this moment when he's in college, he's having these different situations with women. He's going out and meeting a lot of people, gains a social circle, gets over his shyness, becomes a different person. Maybe he goes through a period where it's a little bit fucked up, like, you know, has a lot of one-night stands, you know, there's some heartbreak, you know, maybe on both ends. Maybe he thought someone wanted to be more serious and he was less serious, and vice versa. It happens a couple times. But finally he's through this whole thing, and this is all a result of the pickup artist thing, because it inspired him to become this person. And he's like, well, I had to go through this experience. Now he's married, you know, and his wife is, you know, not someone that, you know, honestly, like, trying to think of what I would say. Like, his wife is pretty, like, cool too, and has a lot of, is a well-adjusted person. Like, if he would have gone this other direction, let's say this other parallel reality, he would have met someone with, like, mental illness, and it was severely, like, let's say, I'm just gonna put it out there, severely obese and had all these mental issues. But now he, like, he got his shit together. He attracted his, like, counterpart that has a positive vibe and energy and, you know, whatever you want to call it, in the universe. Okay, it sounds like a little woo, but whatever. So these people that criticize this movement don't see these people like Todd. They see these, like, sort of rapey kind of douchebag guys dressing like a fucking buffoon, going out to clubs and insulting women at the bar. It's a total misrepresentation, mischaracterization. Not completely, mind you. There's a lot of fucked up shit. Jeffy, you know, Real Social Dynamics, and it's what, rape van or whatever, like he called her, and pedo van. He was making jokes. It was just all these ironic humor that he was doing. It was pretty stupid and foolish, and a lot of these people were pretty cringy. Neil Strauss not being one of them, because I was actually pretty politically correct, actually, overall, that guy. I'm sure there's, women that hate him too. But, there could be like people like Todd, and there could be people like your friend that's a fucking alcoholic that's had sex with 300 women, I mean, this is the dark side I'm talking about. That can't take any relationship seriously. Women hate him, or his exes hate him. He's kind of manipulative, very manipulative. Maybe hasn't like assaulted anybody, but it gets a little weird at times because he's just so aggressive and assertive. Because, you have that kind of person, and you have Todd. And, the pickup thing is not, it could lead to that kind of other person. Let's just call him Frank, okay? Frank is that drunk guy, It could lead to that, but Todd needs some of that energy that's a little more like Frank, that doesn't give a shit as much, to get himself to that point. He has to have that to get to that point. He can't, it's not good if he becomes like Frank, but it's fine if he draws some of that energy, mind you, some of that. So when these people bash the pickup scene or self-help or self-improvement in general, like fucking bashing, I mean, there's a lot of things to be said bad about Deepak Chopra or even Tony Robbins, but at the same time, it's like, if you take it with a grain of salt or even a pound of salt and you make it your own and you try to, follow some of this stuff, it can improve your life, is what I'm trying to say. And when people talk shit about it, I do get defensive because it has helped my life. I mean, I'm saved from, I haven't even, done hardly anything with a lot of self-help stuff, but even the little bit that I've incorporated has helped my life. I used to be almost 300 pounds. Like, I was a lot fatter than I am now. I was a lot fatter. I'd only been with, not that it matters. That's one of the things about the pickup scene is like, what's your leg count, bro? A lot of it's stupid, a lot of the old school, even the old school part. Old school version of it was stupid because it was all lay count and all this stuff. Who gives a shit, right? But like, my lay count was super low, and that's a very toxically masculine part of it. But you gotta look at this with nuance. Is my point. It's like just bashing it outright, like a lot of these left-leaning people seem to do. You don't see the forest from the trees. There are a lot of people fucked up by their upbringing, the high divorce rates that happened post World War II, or post 60s. And I'm not like one of the, like a conservative is saying the 60s ruined the world, decline of Western civilization. No, I'm not saying that, but there was a lot of divorce rates, a lot of weird dynamics with parents, and influenced people to be. And now that we have the helicopter, generation and stuff, helicopter parents, all that stuff. So to have a little bit of that, it's balance. It's all about balance with me. It's like, don't have enough of that. And I do believe in energy, like masculine and feminine energy. And that's why that almost gives more credence to some of the other genders or, transgender movements, because it's like people do have different energy, more masculine, more feminine. It's like, the pendulum might have swung too much to the feminine with certain people, and they have to balance it out, or vice versa. Like a toxically masculine person that's just like that Frank guy I mentioned. Maybe he needs to be a little more sensitive and get out of there. But these ideas, the clientele, especially of the pickup scene, is more like people like Todd, that just didn't stand up for themselves and all that, rather than people like Frank. But Frank might see, this is the problem with the whole thing. It's like, he might be like, well, I could make money teaching this stuff. Then he joins up with a guy that used to be like Todd, but he's and he's like the leader of the company, but then this Frank guy, and then the Frank guy gets in trouble at some foreign country doing some fucked up shit or something, like company. It's just it's based on a true story about one of those companies. But I'm not saying that the guy, that Julian Blanc, is like Frank. I'm just saying, like, these kinds of things can happen. So overall, we got to look at these things with nuance. I was involved with a lot of that stuff at one time, and I do like to date, and So this leads to another thing about what the pickup thing is about. It's not about being fake. It's not about being someone you're not. It's about transforming yourself into a person that's different by adopting what's called in neurolinguistic programming modeling. So that's the controversial part. That's the missing link with these people. Well, you're not being yourself if you use pickup lines. That's not the point. You're not supposed to use pickup lines. A lot of the beginners pickup stuff that they teach or they taught, it's a little different now. There's a lot of like these right-wing grifters getting into this red pill, whatever fucking shit. I don't buy that. I like the old school scene. It was a lot less toxic, to be honest with you. Even if, you know, regardless of what you consider about Ross Jeffries, a little like talking like you're like a romance novel to a woman, calling it hypnosis or whatever you want to believe, you know. But regardless of what you believe in that, it was a lot less fucked up and scary and toxic and whatever, rapey or whatever. But the whole point with the whole point is that you don't use these tactics forever. You start to practice with different things. It's bad to tell lies, I'm not going to say that, but telling jokes or just doing kind of some this flirtatious kind of thing, and then you kind of become more of the person that is keen to do that, just attuning yourself. It's very controversial to say that you can change yourself in our society, as much as our society is into narcissism and the self, like the 70s, like where it's all about yourself and like self-help and development, personal development, all this shit. That's when it kind of became a thing. But it's very controversial to believe that your core can change. And maybe your core cannot change, but, and a lot of feminists and stuff don't like this idea because it threatens them like, well, you should just be yourself, you know? And it's like, that they're missing the point. It's not about being yourself, or it's about believing you're malleable, believing, and maybe you're supposed to have this natural upbringing where you're supposed to be this perfect guy to them, and then you're the stud hot dude, you know, after that, because you're this kind of guy. And for a guy that didn't have that upbringing, or is naturally not like that genetically, maybe, if you believe in that, something threatens them about that whole idea. This is coming from a wing of politics that definitely looks down on nature the nature part of nurture, saying this shit, right? So it's totally hypocritical for them to be knocking on this. You can't change, don't be a fake person. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. So it's like, you know, you can't be your best self. Neil Strauss said, become the best version of you can be. Doesn't mean, so like, well, the whole thing with Todd, like if he would read these pickup artist books or seduction books, what happens, or even, you know, takes a workshop, dare I say, these boot camps as they call them. I know someone that might have taken a boot camp. Anyways, enough about that. That's a lot of money. It's bullshit. Just go out and find a friend that's successful. That's what you should do. Don't spend a lot of money on this shit. So Todd, this Todd guy, right? I'm not talking about Todd, the former RSD guy, by the way. I'm not talking about it. I just thought of the word Todd. I don't know why. So this Todd guy, he starts using these lines. He doesn't lie about what he does. Maybe he does this fluffing, like maybe he's an engineer for a company. He's like, he frames this as like, I'm at the forefront. My job is at the forefront of high tech, or of innovation and technology. It's like, sounds like he's fluffing it up, but he's not lying, right? So he tells these jokes and, you know, flirts, and then he stops. He throws away that stuff because he's coming up with the stuff on his own. You know, he's becoming this person. His personality changes. That's the whole essence of the pickup artist movement. Now, you can have your things about casual sex or the predatory thinking, which is true. I mean, to be successful at anything, you got to start thinking of things people, like it's a capitalist. It is a capitalist thing, because there was a book that I bought called Seduction. I'm trying to think of where it is, and it talks about how neoliberalism and capitalism definitely influence. Oh shit! There's a flashlight. This book, is about how the pickup artist thing developed in our economic system, and it's probably somewhat true. You do look at people as statistics, you do objectify women in this case, but it's like, I'm sure people have their asshole friend that has been with a lot of women or whatever, really good with women. They don't think of them as this type of guy, this guy, but they're natural, so that it's less offensive for whatever damn reason, right? But the whole thing being like, it's this view of people as like of commodities, right? And there's plenty of criticism. That's why I bought that book. I bought a lot of anti-pickup artist books, only if they're smart though, not if they're just some feminist like jealous of the girls that are getting hit on by Mystery or whatever. Mystery is one of the famous pickup artist guys. Not like that. I like actual intellectual academic looks at this shit, even if it's from a critical point of view, is way better. However, like I said, I think there's a spectrum. I think that there is room for these ideas if you're not successful in part of your life. And yeah, you're looking at things like, it is a numbers game, but it is a numbers game. It is a numbers game. So this is what threatens people, that people have choice too, because they usually settle with their partners a lot of the time. And sometimes the settling is fine. It's like, everybody settles to a certain extent. You're not going to be dating, like, let's say you worship Patrick Stewart, you're not going to be with a guy that looks that good. Like if that's like your ideal mate, you might look pretty close, and that's a better settling. But if you're dating, if you're find a guy that's like a total bum and it's like an alcoholic and looks like pus coming from his face because you're settling, that's settling. So a lot of people kind of are on the spectrum of settling. And what the pickup artist thing does is like, you go out and you meet a lot of people by doing this action, right action, I was gonna put a little Eckhart Tolle in there. You do this action, you meet a lot of people, so you have like, say you have like 20 numbers. Oh, I really like her, I'm gonna call her. Oh, I didn't get along with her. It's like, the relationship that you get from that, if that's what you're looking for, will probably be better. And not always, because a lot of times looks deceive, but chemistry is important. That's the thing. And that's why improving yourself as a person with meeting a lot of people, becoming more sociable, makes you have better chemistry with people that are on that wavelength of more positive chemistry. So that's why the whole fucking criticism of pickup artists and the PUA scene and seduction community is fucking misguided as hell. There's real qualitative criticism to be had, and there's plenty of things you can criticize about these guys. You can call them sexist. It's sexist because James Bond is sexist, but he gets laid. There is a certain predatory thing about human males with regards to like who have a lot of exploits. That's just how. It doesn't mean you don't have to, do any kind of assault or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but the certain type of active energy of, meeting a lot of women and not necessarily going for a relationship. As long as you're honest and upfront, I don't think there's a moral problem necessarily. Now, the whole thing, I was once on this pickup artist board, and there was this like Christian guy that was like interested in it. He's like, I'm not gonna have sex before I'm married. And people were very welcoming. It's like, you could just do this stuff and meet people and just talk to people and try to develop yourself, and then once you meet someone you really like, just go for that. It's not exclusive like that. It's just it's a way of improving yourself by modeling people, not the best people all the time, honestly. I don't think womenizers are not always the best type of people, right? We got to acknowledge that weakness. But by modeling some of the more positive attributes of them, you can attract better people, period. By thinking of these things this way, I probably wouldn't have had even the, low number of relationships that I've had, which is more than 2, obviously. I'm just saying, like, relatively low number of relationships that I've had without these ideas, because when I go out, when I try really hard, which is not often enough, or it hasn't been often enough in the past, I'll go at it, whether it be online or whatever. Usually online, that's just the way it's been the last few years, at least, for various reasons. But like, if I go full force, I will have success. And that's the whole thing with the pickup thing that people don't understand. A lot of guys are the normal guys. What they call them is average frustrated chumps, right? So the normal guys in this situation will, like, let's say they're on OkCupid or something. They'll message like 4 women in a month or something and think, oh my God. But like with these types of tactics and ideas, you commit more time to, maybe 100 in a month instead. That's going to increase your chances. It's a numbers game. That's one thing that the pickup artists don't really talk about, is like how a lot of some of this stuff is pseudoscientific. It is really a fucking numbers game a lot of the time. But most people do not even go towards that kind of number that these guys do. So that's why they have success. That's what you do. And that's what you do in life, is that if you're going to make sales, you're going to go to 1,000 people. You're not just going to knock on 2 doors, if you're like a door-to-door salesperson. And the chances increase, And that one idea is almost more valuable than all their other ideas, all their woo, NLP, or NEGs, or, all their weird ideas. Some of them are really weird too. All these weird acronyms they used to have and shit. PyMI and, all this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's humorous too, because I used to be part of this podcast that actually made fun of that stuff, or sort of ancillarily part of the podcast. So yeah, I think it's valuable. I think these ideas have value. I think the way that we're conditioned is wrong. I agree with Ross Jeffries on that. I'm sorry, I think we're conditioned erroneously. My favorite Ross Jeffries product has been his original magic program that he did. That's my favorite. He talks about society, all this stuff. Genius level ideas. I know he did get a lot of the ideas from other people, but his philosophies in that program were fucking brilliant. So, like, how we're indoctrinated, we're programmed, and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, has been an important part of that too. So, whether people go, it's a pseudoscience. Okay, well, Britain seems to be like think of NLP as more serious for whatever reason. How does that work? But in America, like, the people think. Anyways, that's a whole other subject for a whole other video. But yeah, I think there's value with some of it. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a pile of salt. Use it's just like what Bruce Lee said, this, use everything that is useful or whatever. It's like, you can't just say, like, I mean, good ideas can come from everywhere, and the pickup artist scene, I mean, you have to use critical thinking. You have to use discretion and caution, obviously. And obviously having another side has been why I bought some of these anti-pickup artist books, because I'm like, I want to hear what the other side has to say. I want to see why there's this backlash against it. So buying those books from a very more academic levels, because I didn't want to buy like some, oh my God, approaching Ew, strangers approaching me is bad. Ew, I only have sex with guys I've known for 5 months and they're in my social circle, which is, see, and that's another thing. Me and my friend always talk about this. I mean, he usually brings it up. Some social circles suck ass. And some workplaces suck ass too. If your workplace has all like middle-aged women that have 4 kids that are clearly not in the prime of their looks, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm a fucking superficial asshole. Okay, that's all. Okay. Anyways, end of video. No, I'm somewhat superficial because I'm a man, you know, and it's toxic to say that or something. But see, that's why I'm backlashed against a lot of the politically correct shit, is because this is why. So they're married or, you know, whatever, right? These people at work. And then your social circle is a bunch of chodes that are into metal, and there might be one woman that's like looks like not that, you know, like one woman that's married, and then one has a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, and then one has like fucking, you know, there's like these scenes, like these social circles. It's like Sausage Fest versus Marge Fest. I'll just call them Marge. I like to use the name Marge for like this archetype of a woman, Marge, or I mean, I guess he's sort of Karen, but a little older, sort of. I don't know. It's so mean. People named Marge or Karen. I'm sorry. Apologies. So you have these two things. I'm describing my life, okay? So you have this, and this is my friend's, you know, has talked about this too. So like, well, you know, we're relatively young. Well, I'm not really relatively young anymore, but we're gonna go out and try to build this kind of thing, you know, like get more dates or whatever. It doesn't have to be like you have to have sex with every woman to be a good pickup artist. You know, it's like, it's not even about that. It's just about meeting different people, seeing who you vibe with. You can't do that if you have this shitty social circle with these hobbies that are very male, you know, nerd male. I mean, I know the nerd thing's gotten better, but as you get older, you're not going to hang out with. The only way you're going to hang out with 20-somethings is if you actually talk to them, you know. So you got this, and a lot of social circles, especially in the Midwest, are a little bit more snooty and like. I mean, I had a cousin that moved from Texas up here, and she said everybody seems stuck up comparison, unfriendly. It's just the way the German American fucking Midwestern thing or whatever, right? So it's not easy, right, with that social circle, or even, you know, getting social circles with a lot of more women and a lot more choices. So, and then you have this other side, your work sucks. What are you gonna fucking do? Okay, online dating, go to bars, hit on girls. Simple. That's the explanation. If anybody wants to fucking know why I got into it, I'm not gonna go into that whole story in this video, but because it is controversial. But you know, if those are your choices, you're gonna get into this shit. I'm sorry, especially as an older-ish dude, you know. So, anyways, the original topic was Thought Slime's bullshit, you know, opinion of pickup artists. I mean, there's a lot of problems with it. I acknowledge that. I see it as like a phase, right? Obviously, I've procrastinated a lot of this phase myself, but I see it as a phase. You can go through this thing and just get better, and then get married or whatever, or you can kind of if you decide that you just want to have less serious relationships through your life, as long as you're upfront about it. It's problematic, but it's not like you're not a tyrant, in my opinion. It might be problematic in some ways with emotions and everything, and I'll acknowledge that. So this whole thing, as far as like that phase, like this Todd guy that I talked about, he went through a phase and then he stopped. And I think that ideally that's what the whole pickup artist thing should be, is like this phase whenever you decide to do it. I mean, obviously it's problematic for 30 or 40 somethings to go hit on 22-year-old women. To some people it's problematic. That's fine. That's fine. I accept that. I accept that, but it is what it is. But that's what I gotta say about it. That's my defense of it, so to speak, and that's about all. Peace out.